the hush of stillness, you drift into the world of matter, not the heavy, rigid stuff, but the gentle hum of atoms in motion. Each thing you touch, taste, breathe is a pattern of particles in constant silent rhythm. You'll begin to feel the strange simplicity of states we thought we understood. And as your breath slows, so too does the story of solid, liquid, and gas. The room is quiet now. Even your thoughts are growing slow, like leaves drifting in water. You rest beneath the weight of blankets, or maybe starlight, and the world, for a moment, stops asking things of you. But far beneath your skin, and beyond your walls, 1,000 trillion tiny stories are unfolding, quietly, without end. They don't shout or rush. They simply move. This is where we begin, not with stars or galaxies or distant black holes, but with something smaller, something much closer. Atoms. The word itself is soft, round at the edges. Atoms, the smallest pieces of what everything is. You are made of them, so is the bed beneath you, so is the sky. So is fire and breath and snow and song, but you never feel them. You never hear their hum. Because atoms move at a pace too small to notice, like thoughts beneath consciousness or feelings. Beneath words. Yet even in this quiet moment, the atoms in your pillow are trembling. They do not sit still. They never do. That still table? Its particles are vibrating. The cool glass of water? A swarm of molecules gliding past each other like dancers in a slow, unending waltz. The air you breathe? A wild, rushing wind of gas. Molecules colliding, spinning, soaring unseen. Solid, liquid, gas. Three states of matter. Simple, right? But look closer. Everything begins to shimmer at the edges. You may think of a solid as still, but its atoms are locked in place by invisible hands, pulling and pushing in a perfect balance. Each atom jiggles, yes, but it jiggles in formation, like monks in silent prayer, bowing in rhythm, never stepping out of line. A structure held by the memory of forces. Now take heat, just a little. Let it rise gently. Atoms begin to loosen. Their grip on each other, they slip. They sway. They break formation. And the solid becomes liquid. Liquid is like a school of fish, still close, still touching, but freer now, changing places, drifting past each other. This is why water flows, why it fills containers, why it can kiss your skin and then disappear. Because its atoms are no longer locked, but they are not wild yet. They're still whispering to each other. They just don't hold on as tightly. Now breathe out, slowly. Feel the warmth in your breath. That warmth is energy, and it's enough to send atoms flying even farther apart. Now they are gas. A gas is freedom. The particles are racing, spinning, darting like fireflies in the dark. They barely touch. They live apart, but they still belong to the same family. Solid, liquid, gas. Three forms. One substance. The difference is only how the atoms move. How close they are, how fast they go, how strong they cling to one another, and the line between them isn't always clear. Think of honey, not quite solid, not quite liquid, or a fog hanging between gas and water. The boundaries blur like waking from a dream and trying to remember what was real. That's the thing about matter. It changes. Not with drama, but with patience. Ice doesn't shout when it melts. Steam doesn't scream when it forms. The transitions are silent, slow. Like your thoughts as you drift towards sleep. Now imagine this. You hold an ice cube in your hand. It begins to melt. Why? You know the answer, heat. But deeper still, it's because the atoms begin to move faster. They wriggle free of their rigid crystal lattice. They say, let me go, and the structure softens. The cube becomes water. If you keep warming it, the atoms say, I want to fly. And the water becomes vapor. States of matter, then, are just the moods of atoms. But moods can change. There are strange places where things behave differently. Where matter melts without heat, freezes in motion, flows like thoughts. We'll go there soon, to the realms of glass, plasma, superfluids, and time crystals, But before that, you rest here in the softness of the three familiar states, the ones your body knows. Solid, your bones, your spine against the mattress. Liquid, the blood flowing quietly beneath your skin. Gas, the air drifting into your lungs, out again. You are not separate from these forms. You are their story. Whispered into shape dot, and still you feel the rhythm of it all. Not loud, not sharp, but like a lullaby of atoms. Always moving, always shifting, but never in a rush. You are lying in a world that is moving, even when it feels perfectly still. And just as you feel your own body slowing, letting go, you might wonder, what if things could melt without heat? What if matter had more than three ways to be? What else is possible when you let go of what seems solid? There are places in this universe where ice melts in cold and metal flows without flame. You float through the logic of phase transitions. How things change, not with fire, but with pressure, tension, time. Your body begins to sense that matter doesn't obey your expectations. It listens only to hidden laws. Your breath is soft now. The rhythm of your thoughts has slowed. You are floating gently between knowing and not knowing, a warm place, just beyond the edges of certainty. And this is where matter begins to surprise you. You've been told that things melt with heat. That ice becomes water when warmed. That metal bends only under fire, but there are stranger truths beneath that rule. Some things melt in the cold. Some change not with temperature, but with pressure, with time, with nothing but the quiet persuasion of their surroundings. You're entering a world where the usual order dissolves. Close your eyes. Imagine you're standing in the deep, dark belly of the earth, so far below the surface that sunlight has never been imagined there. Here, the pressure is enormous. Every rock above you presses down like 1,000 mountains. And in this buried silence, ice behaves oddly. Under such crushing weight, ice can melt even when it's freezing cold. The pressure pushes the molecules out of their crystal pattern. It's not heat doing the work, it's force. This is why glaciers can flow. The bottom of the ice, pressed by the weight of everything above, melts just enough to slip and slide forward. Glaciers move like rivers made of solid water, carving valleys not with fury, but with patience. You may not feel it, but the floor of the world is always shifting, not in loud earthquakes, but in the hushed glacial language of pressure. Now lift your gaze. Far above, beyond the mountains, into the sky. In clouds. Water doesn't always obey either. It can freeze into supercooled droplets, liquid below zero, waiting quietly for the right moment to crystallize. Not everything solidifies at the same time or in the same way. Sometimes matter waits. It holds a state long past what seems natural. This is what scientists call a metastable state, a kind of in-between. The atoms are ready to change, but something holds them there, suspended. You are like that too, sometimes. Holding patterns that are ready to shift, but waiting for the right touch. The right moment. Think of chocolate. Its smoothness depends on how it cools, how the crystals form, how the atoms stack. Too fast, and it becomes dull, brittle. Too slow, and it collapses. So chocolatiers don't just melt and pour. They temper, they guide the transition, not with heat alone, but with rhythm. Molecules are given time to find their shape. Now imagine a metal, say gallium. In your hand, it melts. Not because you burn it, but because your touch, your body warmth is enough. Gallium doesn't need fire. It needs only your presence. Hold it too long and it puddles. Leave it alone and it becomes solid again, as if nothing ever happened. Melting without heat. Changing without permission. A softness that listens to whispers, not commands. Let's go deeper. Think of carbon dioxide, the gas you breathe out. When cooled and pressurized just right, it skips the liquid stage entirely. From gas to solid or solid to gas, with no middle state. Dry ice, we call it. It vanishes without melting. A ghost of matter that doesn't follow the usual path. That transition is called sublimation. A skipping stone of phase change. A refusal to be ordinary. And maybe you've felt that before. Moments when change in your own life didn't follow steps. when things shifted suddenly, a leap, not a walk. A before and an after with no clear middle. Even the universe does. This dot in the first moments after the Big Bang, matter didn't cool gently like soup on the stove. It shifted in cosmic jumps. Phase transitions so powerful, they reshaped the fabric of existence. These shifts were like a dream turning into a different dream with no one waking in between. And still, the dance of atoms continues, guided by invisible lines drawn by temperature, pressure, entropy, and time. Entropy, that word feels heavy, doesn't it? But here, it is a feather, a soft measure of possibility dot. It tells us how many ways something can be. And matter, it seems, is always reaching for more ways to be. Ice wants to become water, not because it's easier, but because there are more possibilities in being liquid, more movements, more arrangements, more freedom. And your thoughts are like that too, seeking freedom, seeking warmth, seeking form dot as you rest now. Your mind might begin to melt its edges, to drift from solid thoughts into liquid dreams. And those dreams, they may rise like vapor, light and slow and infinite, because you too are a system of shifting states. You are not fixed. You are not just one thing. It's one thing. You are like matter, changing in response to unseen forces. Sometimes gently, sometimes suddenly dot, so the next time you hold an ice cube or watch steam curl from a cup, remember this, nothing is truly still. Nothing is truly done. Everything. Even you is always becoming, and in that becoming there is beauty dot now. As your breath continues and the weight of the world eases from your shoulders, you might begin to wonder, what if a solid isn't truly solid? What if something can look frozen, yet flow over centuries? What is glass, really? And is stillness ever real? Glass so still is never truly still. It is a liquid trapped in a dream of slowness, an ancient river that forgot how to flow. You listen to the time-bent tale of amorphous matter and how stillness can be an illusion. Your thoughts begin to stretch like soft glass cooling beneath a gentle sky. You've seen it before, a window, a vase, a bottle catching sunlight, just so. It feels solid beneath your fingertips, cool, smooth, still. But what if that stillness isn't real? What if the glass you touch is not frozen, but only pretending? You close your eyes. In this quiet moment, let your thoughts press gently against the surface of glass, not to break it, not to test it, but to feel its memory. Glass is not like the ice that melts in your hand or the steel that rings when struck. It is neither truly solid nor truly liquid. It stands somewhere in between, a kind of caught breath in the life of matter. Scientists call it amorphous, a word that means without form, without the perfect pattern that crystals hold. Inside glass, the atoms are scattered, not chaotic, but not ordered either. They're like dancers on a floor who never found their positions, yet still move in silent agreement, each one aware of the others, but never locked into place. When a liquid becomes a solid, its molecules usually settle into a crystal lattice, a repeating pattern, a stable shape. The glass skips this as it cools. It gets thicker, slower, heavier, until its movement becomes too small to see. But the structure remains disordered like a crowd-frozen mid-dash conversation. It never quite finishes becoming solid. It simply stops trying. And so glass becomes what we call a supercooled liquid, a liquid that forgot how to flow. Now imagine this, a cathedral, centuries old, its stained glass windows glowing with age and dust. They're thicker at the bottom, as if the glass has slowly sagged down over time. People once believed it proved that glass flows, but it crept, molecule by molecule, downward through centuries. But the truth is softer than that. Those windows were made uneven, blown by hand, poured into place before precision came into fashion. Still, the myth whispers something deeper, a yearning to believe that even what seems still is. Still changing? And maybe it is. Glass doesn't flow like water, not in a way your eyes could ever see. But its atoms do shift, on timescales so long they stretch beyond your lifetime, beyond memory. Beyond measurement, dot, it may take 1 billion years, but in that span, glass moves, dot, it is solid for now, but not. Forever, dot, and so are you. Your bones, your skin, your memories, they seem fixed. But they aren't. You are always becoming. Just like glass, you hold structure without symmetry. You hold stillness that vibrates just beneath awareness, dot. This is what scientists call a non-equilibrium state, a kind of arrested becoming. Not broken. Not complete, dot, just suspended. Glass is a metaphor for so many things. For grief that lingers without words. For thoughts that never quite settle. For feelings that live just beneath the surface, unmoving, but never unmoved. When you hold a piece of glass, you are holding a story of time. Not a snapshot, but a slow unfolding, dot. It was once sand, burned hot enough to forget its past, shaped in the heat, and then cooled, dot, but not cooled into peace, cooled into pause. That pause is where its beauty lives. It catches light because it holds disorder. It shines because it never truly settled. And so, as you lie still, you may begin to feel a kinship with it. You, too, are a body cooling from the day's heat, a structure formed from soft chaos, not quite liquid, not quite stone. The dreams you carry do not need to be neat. They do not need to crystallize. They can be like glass, uncertain but clear, still but changing. And when you think of time, you might begin to wonder, what else do we call solid when it is really just waiting? What else do we mistake for permanence when it's only a moment of balance in a long, slow dance? The atoms in glass are restless, but patient, and so are you. Tonight, your thoughts cool. They stretch, they slow, they rearrange, and even as you rest in silence, your body is not still. Your cells repair. Your breath softens. Your neurons drift. You are in your own kind of non-equilibrium, a dream made of shifting light. Let that be enough. Let disorder be beautiful. Let stillness be honest, dot, and let yourself wonder. If glass is not truly solid, if it changes when no one is looking, then what is light doing as it passes through it? Does it bend? Does it pause? Does it remember? Beyond the flame's flicker lies plasma, the forgotten fourth state, where chaos meets light. You rise through the stars into charged clouds and solar winds. Plasma sings and lightning and shines in the auroras, yet sleeps inside every screen you touch. It's not fire, it's freer than fire. The world is quiet again. The stillness of your room wraps around you like a gentle cocoon. But within that stillness, your thoughts lift, floating upward like heat from a flame. You've wandered through solids, through liquids and gases. You've seen how ice melts, how glass holds time, how even stillness isn't always still. Now we rise. Beyond the ordinary. Beyond the states you've known since childhood. Into the fourth state, not one of coldness or silence, but one of radiant, electrified motion, dot, plasma, dot. You may not hear that word often. It's not taught with the same certainty as the others. Solid, liquid, gas, those are easy, predictable, containable. But plasma is wild. It doesn't live inside teacups or rain puddles. It lives in stars, in lightning, in the glow of neon signs and the shimmer of auroras. And strangely, it lives in your home, in every screen that lights your face at night, dot. So what is it? Imagine a gas, its atoms spaced out, floating free. Now add enough energy, enough heat, enough charge, and those atoms begin to fall apart. The electrons, once gently orbiting their nuclei, are knocked loose. They spin away like sparks. The gas is no longer just atoms. It is a sea of charged particles. Positive nuclei, negative electrons, all swirling, repelling. Attracting, dot. This is plasma. Not a gas, but something more. A gas-made electric, dot, in this state, matter behaves differently. It conducts electricity. It responds to magnetic fields. It glows with energy. You've seen it, even if you didn't know its name. That streak of lightning across a summer sky. Plasma, a flash of sudden energy. Air-turned electric, dot, the dancing curtains of green and pink in the polar night. Auroras, Particles from the sun trapped in Earth's magnetic embrace, lighting the upper atmosphere with plasma's song dot, and in the heart of every star, the sun that warms your skin, the stars that blink above your dreams, plasma burns. In silence, fusing atoms together, creating light that travels across space just to fall softly on your face dot. It is the most common state of matter in the universe. Not solid, not liquid, not gas, but this fourth flickering form. Strange, isn't it? How something so vast, so present, could be so hidden from everyday thought. But perhaps that is plasma's nature, to be felt more than understood, to illuminate without demanding attention. Plasma flows in patterns you cannot see in solar flares, in magnetic loops above the sun's surface, in the spiral arms of galaxies, and the electric nerves of storms dot. And here, back on Earth, it is tamed just a little inside fluorescent lights, inside plasma globes that hum softly with touch, inside the pixels that bloom on your screen as you drift into. Sleep dot. You touch plasma more often than you know, and still it remains a mystery, because plasma is both chaos and order. Its particles are wild, but they obey the rules of fields, invisible lines drawn by magnetism and charge. It is matter guided by forces you do not see, dancing to rhythms you cannot hear. You are surrounded by it. You are made in its light. You live because a star full of plasma burns across space with perfect patience. That light left the sun 8 minutes ago. It traveled the vacuum, past clouds and satellites, fell through your window, and gently kissed your skin. That light began in plasma and a fusion of hydrogen deep in the sun's heart. And now it warms you quietly, without asking for thanks. Plasma is not fire, but fire is one of the few places you glimpse its edge. In the flicker of a candle, the crackle of wood burning, there is ionization, a whisper of the fourth state dot. It's not just heat. It's transformation dot, and maybe you feel that as your body rests, but your mind continues to glow. A low, constant hum. A field of soft energy. Awake, even in stillness. You, too, are electric. Your heart beats because of electrical signals. Your thoughts move because ions flow between neurons. Your body is a soft cage of organized plasma events, gentle, contained, alive dot. So as you lie there now, let yourself imagine the sky, not the quiet night sky, but the one beyond it, a sun erupting, its surface boiling with magnetic storms. A loop of plasma rising, arching through solar winds, carrying energy into space. Some of that energy might reach Earth, bend around its magnetic field, and create a shimmer in the far northern sky, a reminder that you live not just on a planet, but in a charged, moving universe. Dot and plasma, the most common matter of all, is the hidden thread that connects it all. Dot. It is not gentle, but it is not cruel. It simply is a state where energy and matter become one, and as you feel yourself softening, cooling, drifting, you may wonder, if matter can burn without fire, if energy can become light, what happens when particles move together so perfectly? They become one single wave of thought. What if matter could stop being separate and begin to think as one? Inside your very cells, within the stars above, and in the heart of lightning, there lives a fourth state of matter plasma. Unlike anything you touch in daily life, it flickers, hums and glows with a wild, unchained energy. It is the language the universe whispers through auroras and the surface of suns. Tonight you'll drift with it through glowing storms and the breath of stars. You lie still, the weight of the day sinking away like sand drawn gently back into the sea. Above you, the sky of your imagination darkens, not with night, but with a quiet promise. A hum pulses faintly at the edge of hearing, soft and full of motion. You're about to meet the most radiant state of matter, one that dances not in silence, but in glowing song, plasma. Most of what you see around you, solids that anchor, liquids that flow, gases that drift, is familiar and comforting. But plasma ... Plasma is fire set free. It is matter unbound, energized so deeply that atoms shed their skin's electrons, slipping away like dancers from a tightly choreographed waltz. What's left behind are ions, positively charged cores, swirling in a sea of motion. In this storm of light and energy, something astonishing happens. Chaos becomes harmony. You've seen plasma before, even if you didn't realize it. In the flicker of a neon sign that buzzes lazily down a quiet alleyway. In the dazzling curtains of the aurora borealis, wrapping the sky in silent green and purple flames. In the heart of the stars, yes, even your own sun plasma pulses, thrums, burns with the energy of a billion furnaces. Imagine now that you are drifting upward, weightless, through the roof of your room and out into the dark velvet of space. You pass satellites humming with silent focus, then glide further toward the golden, glowing surface of the sun. As you draw near, you don't burn. You simply become smaller, gentler, lighter so that what would harm now welcomes. The sun's outer skin, its corona, stretches like glowing hair around its body. And here, in this surreal and powerful place, plasma breathes. Every flare, every solar wind is plasma speaking. It carries energy not just as heat, but as light and magnetism, its language vast and fluent, understood by the vacuum of space, the magnetic fields of planets, and the Earth's own protective cocoon. But how does plasma come to be? Picture this. You take a gas, a cloud of gentle, lazy atoms floating far apart from each other, and you heat it. Not a little heat, but the kind of heat that cracks open the world. When temperatures soar into the thousands or millions of degrees, the atoms cannot hold on to their electrons. Those electrons begin to leave like bees abandoning a hive. What's left is a shimmering mix of charged particles, bouncing, flowing, glowing. This mixture, this soup of energy is plasma, and it doesn't behave like gas, not quite. It doesn't behave like anything else you've met. It's responsive to magnetic fields. It pulses, it waves. It twists and loops and spirals, painting invisible paths that shape the world around it. Your mind now slips into the glowing belly of a plasma storm. Picture yourself as a single ion spinning gently in the center of a sunbeam. Around you, the others move some fast, some slow, but all together in a strange kind of flow. The motion feels like music. There are no straight lines here, only waves rising and falling, folding over themselves like silk scarves caught in the wind, and through this fluid dance, light is born. Real light. Photons, the smallest pieces of illumination, leap free when electrons reunite with atoms. They shine out blue, green, red, ultraviolet, and rush through the emptiness between. Stars eventually finding their way to your eyes. The light of a flame, the glimmer of a fluorescent bulb, the ghostly sheen of the aurora. Even the lightning that cracks across the summer sky is plasma made sudden. When air becomes so electrified that it tears itself apart, it glows and it speaks in thunder. Plasma doesn't sit quietly, it reveals itself with drama, with color, with force. And yet, here's something even more wondrous. Plasma might seem rare on Earth, but it is the most common state of matter in the universe. It makes up over 99% of what exists beyond our tiny blue world. Stars, nebulas, interstellar winds, they are plasma's home. You, in your quiet bed, are surrounded by solids, liquids, and gases. But space is ruled by plasma. You float, now gently orbiting a filament of plasma curling out from the sun, watching it loop and spin. It seems alive, but not in the way a creature lives. More like an idea that refuses to stay still, a constant rewriting of itself in heat and light. Scientists study plasma not just to understand stars, but to recreate the sun's power here. On Earth, fusion energy, the dream of a clean, near-limitless power source, depends on controlling plasma, holding it in place without touching it. We try to trap it with magnetic fields, wrapping it in invisible hands. The challenge is great, but the potential is profound. A future where light feeds the world. Back on Earth, even your own body interacts with plasma every time you turn on a screen. Plasma TVs, plasma cutters, plasma globes with dancing threads of light inside, each is a whisper of this strange, powerful state of matter. In myth, fire has always symbolized knowledge, transformation, divine spark. Plasma, the fire of physics, carries that same mystery. It teaches that energy and matter are not so far apart, that the world is not made only of what we can touch, but also of what flickers at the edge of sight. You turn gently in your imagined orbit, and with a slow exhale, feel the warm hum of plasma receding into the background of your thoughts. A softness takes its place, cool, calm, like the quiet that follows a storm. And yet you wonder what lies below the calmest states of matter. If plasma is the fire of motion, what might exist in the coldest corners of the cosmos where even motion begins to disappear? You feel yourself gliding downward, past warmth, past flame, into deeper stillness, towards something stranger still. You may think of fire as wild and chaotic, but beneath its shimmer lies order. In the fourth state of matter, plasma, particles dance in electric fields like fireflies in a thunderstorm. This is the state of stars, of lightning, of solar winds brushing softly past Earth. Tonight, you travel into glowing currents and charged waves where atoms part ways with their electrons. In quiet rebellion, listen as the universe whispers and sparks and flares. You lie still, your body gently sinking into the mattress, your breath even and slow. The room is dark, but somewhere beyond these walls, beyond this quiet home, the stars burn. And in those stars, a different kind of matter pulses, not solid, not liquid, not gas, but something more ancient, more energetic, more electric. You're about to drift into the glow of plasma. Close your eyes. Picture a candle's flame. Watch how it flickers, golden and soft. But now imagine zooming in closer and closer until you can see the very particles inside. You see that this flame is not just gas, it's something else. The atoms have broken apart. Electrons roam free, unbound, while positively charged ions move like dancers in an unseen rhythm. That's plasma, a state of matter where atoms let go of each other, surrendering to electric fields and magnetic currents. You've seen plasma before, in neon signs that buzz softly on city nights, in the shimmer of lightning crossing a summer sky, and the auroras painting the polar air in ribbons of green and violet. Plasma is all around you, even though your life on Earth is mostly shaped by solids, liquids, and gases. In truth, plasma is the most common state of matter in the entire universe. The stars are made of it, the sun is made of it. Even the space between stars carries whispers of it, like a faint breath exhaled by galaxies long ago. You drift now, your body soft and warm, but your mind beginning to glow. You imagine yourself moving upward, past the ceiling, past the clouds, rising higher into the stillness of space. The Earth falls behind you, and in the vast dark you see the sun, not blinding now, but vibrant, alive, and humming with plasma. It roils across its surface like oceans made of fire. Huge loops of magnetic energy curl and snap. Bursts of solar wind fan outward like invisible gusts filled with charged particles. These particles, so tiny, yet so fast, reach Earth too. Our planet's magnetic field wraps around us like a protective cocoon, guiding the plasma to the poles. There it dances in the night sky as the aurora. Have you ever seen it? The way it flows like silk in slow motion, green and violet threads swaying across the stars. That's plasma's lullaby. And even if you haven't seen it with your own eyes, part of you knows it. Your atoms remember the electric birth of stars. But what exactly makes plasma so different? It starts with energy. When a gas becomes hot enough, when the heat becomes wild and insistent, the atoms within it start to break apart. Electrons, once snugly orbiting their nuclei, are shaken loose. This separation creates a soup of charged particles, free electrons and positive ions moving separately, responding to electromagnetic forces, and that's what gives plasma its magic. It doesn't just sit there. It moves, it reacts, it responds. Unlike gases, which drift passively, plasma is alive with structure. It can form filaments, sheets, and waves. It can carry currents and trap magnetic fields. In fact, It often behaves more like a living system than an inert one. You might not feel it in your everyday life, but your world is shaped by plasma in quiet, powerful ways. When the sun sends a strong blast of plasma toward Earth, a solar flare, it can cause magnetic storms here. These storms can disturb satellites, black out radio signals, and paint the sky with brighter auroras. Even the compass needle in your hand might twitch slightly, feeling the tremor of distant solar energy. But plasma isn't just out there in stars and storms. It's in here too, in your body, in your breath, in the tools of your world. The screen you're listening through, it likely uses plasma to emit its soft glow. The fluorescent lights in buildings, the plasma cutters in industry, the fusion experiments trying to recreate the sun's core, all use the power of plasma. And one day, perhaps, plasma will power our future. Scientists are working to harness fusion, the same process that powers the stars, to create clean energy here on Earth. They try to hold plasma steady inside magnetic fields, in chambers shaped like rings or stars. But plasma is tricky. It squirms and dances. It escapes easily, like a thought slipping away just before sleep. Still, it holds promise. Because inside plasma is balance, the push of particles, the pull of fields, the elegant symmetry of electric charge. Plasma doesn't settle like a stone or flow like water or float like gas. It weaves. It pulses. It glows with the breath of stars. Let yourself imagine it now. The electric tides of the sun, the soft sighs of aurora in a polar night, the hum of energy beneath neon signs and lightning bolts. All of it made of the same restless state of matter, always moving, always glowing, always reaching. Your body resting now. Feels no electric jolt, just warmth, comfort, and wonder. But your mind is glowing a little too, touched by the strange stillness within plasma's chaos. It's a reminder that energy and peace can coexist. That what looks like fire might be harmony in disguised dot, so you float in this idea for a while. You feel the universe flickering gently around you. No need to rush. Just breathe and drift, and as you begin to let go, another question arrives, soft as a whisper. If plasma is the stuff of stars, then what happens when matter becomes so cold it almost stops moving altogether? What secrets are hidden in stillness and slowness and near-perfect quiet? Let's find out together. Above you, the stars seem still, but they hum with invisible storms. Plasma, the fourth state of matter, dances between galaxies, hot, wild, and free. It shapes suns, fills the spaces between worlds, and breathes energy into the cosmos. You'll float in its electric tides, touching the heartbeat of distant stars, and wonder as you drift what else might glow in the invisible. You close your eyes, and the dark behind your lids is not empty. It shimmers. Tiny pulses of unseen energy stir behind the black. They pull you upward, outward. You're lifting again, the pull of Earth softening beneath you, your body lighter, your thoughts loosening like mist in early morning dot far above the clouds, beyond the air, even beyond the moon's quiet orbit. Space stretches out, vast and velvet, but space is not empty. Between the stars, something glows. It is not solid, not liquid, not even gas. It is plasma, the fourth state of matter, and the most ancient. Plasma is born in fire. Not the kind that flickers on candle wicks or in fireplace logs. Plasma fire is hotter, wilder. It is what stars are made of, what lightning bolts carry through the sky. It is what the sun breathes into the solar wind that brushes against your planet every moment of your life. You feel none of it, and yet your whole world responds. Your atmosphere shivers. Your compass needles twitch. Imagine atoms, those tiny building blocks of all things, becoming so hot, so excited that they can no longer hold themselves together. Their electrons, which normally swirl calmly around the nucleus like moons around planets, break free and zoom off. This dance, charged, chaotic, is plasma. It's like a gas that has been set alight with electricity. And it's not just warm. Air. It's air turned wild. You float through the sun's corona now, the glowing outer edge that you can only see during an eclipse. It's far hotter than the surface below it, burning in secret, reaching millions of degrees. The particles here are plasma, racing and looping, trapped in giant magnetic fields. Sometimes they burst free in solar flares, sending waves of light and heat crashing into the void. These waves can travel millions of miles and still touch your radio signals. Your power grids, your planet's poles dot out in deep space, entire rivers of plasma drift between galaxies. Some call it the intergalactic medium. Others call it the cosmic web. You simply feel it as a breath, vast, slow-moving, and warm in ways that are not skin-deep. It feels like a presence. Something ancient and alert. Stars are born from clouds of gas collapsing under gravity. Yes, but it's the spark of heat, the friction of atoms crowding closer, that turns that gas into plasma. Once that happens, a new light shines in the darkness. A star is born, and with it, the story of a solar system begins. But plasma is not only about the big and the distant. It's right there in the flicker of neon signs, in plasma globes you touched as a child, in the auroras that dance. Over polar skies, when solar winds, streams of plasma from the sun, hit Earth's magnetic field, they get funneled toward the poles. There, they interact with your planet's own atmosphere, and the sky blooms with color. Green veils, pink streaks, curtains, a violet that ripple like breath across the night, and still plasma does not settle. It moves, always. It spirals, loops, lashes like a whip. In space, it behaves differently from gas because it carries charge. That charge means it reacts to magnetic fields, creating shapes and waves and storms you can't quite see with your eyes, only instruments or imagination. You float now near Jupiter, whose magnetosphere is the largest in the solar system. Here, plasma spirals around the giant planet in toruses, thick, invisible rings. The moon Io, volcanic and fierce, erupts constantly, spewing charged particles into space. These particles become plasma, captured by Jupiter's vast field, stretching out like a glowing net. If your ears could hear the magnetic waves here, it would sound like singing. Low and long, like the hum of an ancient choir. Plasma isn't tame. It challenges your ideas of matter. It's not soft like water or solid like ice. It is motion. It is energy that can shape the world around it. Scientists build machines called tokamaks and stellarators to try to tame plasma on Earth, to recreate what stars do to generate fusion, the power of suns. It's hard. Plasma resists boundaries. It lashes out against confinement. But if it can be mastered, it may one day offer limitless, clean energy, a star born in a lab. But tonight, you aren't trying to control it. You're simply floating through it, letting it run the spaces between your thoughts. Imagine each strand of plasma as a glowing river of ideas, moving too quickly to name, but easy to feel. They dance through the universe like brushstrokes and invisible paint dot in the edges of sleep. Where your mind loosens and your body quiets, you can begin to sense how alive the cosmos is. Not cold, not empty, but buzzing, vibrating, alive with charged particles moving through space like fireflies in the dark. You're part of that field, even now. Your own body contains plasma too, and the ions moving through your nerves, the tiny sparks that let you think, feel, dream. The universe is a plasma story, chaotic, beautiful, untamed. It is not still, it never was. The same wildness that shapes stars lives quietly inside you, and as you drift, eyes heavy and breath slow, you wonder, if plasma is the fourth state what could come next? Something colder than cold, or stranger than flame, what lies beyond what we know, beyond solid, liquid, gas, and fire. Maybe it is waiting just beneath your pillow of stars. You find yourself gazing through ancient stained glass windows, where stories pause in color and curve. Here, glass is not quite solid, not quite liquid. It sits in between, a quiet mystery. We wander slowly into the strange realm of amorphous. Solids where stillness hides slow, eternal movement. What if time is a material too, one we touch, but never quite hold? Tonight, you'll drift into the paradox of solidity that isn't quite still. You walk beside a quiet cathedral wall, your fingers brushing gently over its stained glass windows, violet, gold, indigo. Each panel hums with centuries of sunlight. They feel still, but somewhere deep within, they whisper of motion. Not the rushing dance of air or water, but something slower. Something like the sigh of a mountain or the waiting of a star. Glass, you learn, is not what it seems. It feels solid under your hand, cool, smooth, unchanging. Yet it belongs to a strange in-between world. Not quite a liquid, not quite a crystal. Glass is an amorphous solid. That means it's disordered like a liquid, but frozen like a solid. Imagine a crowd of dancers who were suddenly told to freeze mid-movement. Their positions make no sense, yet they've stopped. That's glass, motion paused, but not erased. Your mind relaxes into this contradiction like fog curling along the edge of a lake. Unlike the tidy structure of ice, where molecules line up like bricks in a wall, glass's molecules are tangled and jumbled, a beautiful, chaotic stasis. The atoms have no clear pattern, but they're stuck, caught mid-drift. It's as if they were trying to flow, and then time gently told them to sleep. For years, people believed old glass windows were thicker at the bottom because the glass had flowed downward over centuries, like sap down a tree. It turns out that's more myth than truth. The thickening was a choice of medieval craftsmen. But the myth still lingers because, well, it feels true. There's something about glass that invites timelessness. You stare through it at sunsets, at stars, at the passing of life, and it never moves, but always watches. The story of glass begins in heat, intense, transforming heat. Sand and soda ash are melted until they glow like a second sun. Then they cool quickly, too quickly for the molecules to find order. It's like trying to form a line in a crowd that's already begun to fall asleep. The result is frozen disarray, a quiet type of matter that doesn't settle into a fixed structure. That's a secret. That's why it never quite becomes one thing or the other. You imagine walking into a room made entirely of cooled liquid, a shell of frozen honey light. You lie down, you rest. The walls do not press. They simply are. And over the years, they change so slowly you would never notice, not unless you waited 10,000 years. Glass teaches you about patience. It reminds you that change doesn't always rush. Sometimes it lingers, yawning into decades. Even though its molecules are technically stuck, they still want to move. And under the right conditions, heat, pressure, time, they will. This is why ancient volcanic glass, like obsidian, will slowly crystallize if left long enough. A hidden dream, blooming through centuries. There's a quiet poetry in this, the idea that even stillness has motion. That even what seems solid may one day shift. Just like your thoughts, which settle and drift while you lie in bed, half dreaming. Amorphous solids like glass are not alone. Many everyday objects share this quiet in-betweenness. Plastics, gels. Certain glazes, they blur the line between solid and liquid. They're atoms like dancers paused mid-performance, wheat without music. They hold shape, but not certainty. And you float among them, your body part solid, part liquid, part question. Your bones are crystalline, firm, ordered. Your blood flows. But what about your thoughts, your memories? Are they glassy? Are they frozen rivers of feeling and light, waiting to melt in a recall? The sleepy scientist in you smiles. It's a question that drips into dreams. The idea of glass and its stillness with motion begins to sound a lot like time itself. Time too flows, but not always at the pace we expect. It stretches and bends and stills. You remember moments that feel frozen, like a childhood memory caught forever in golden dusk, and others that vanish, slippery and warm, before you can even name them. Glass then becomes a metaphor, a lens through which we see both science and soul. We live in houses of it. We look through it to find stars, and we use it to store data, freeze light, preserve the past. We touch it every day on screens and windows and mirrors. Yet, it always remains quiet, mysterious, like a river pretending to be a wall. As your eyes grow heavy, you begin to imagine sleeping inside a cathedral made entirely of glass. Not cold, not hard, but soft and humming. It glows gently in the moonlight. It doesn't rush you. It simply holds. And outside, time slows. The stars blink. The world softens into silence. Somewhere deep in that glass, atoms still move, barely. Their slow, endless ballet plays out beneath your dreams. They remind you that change can be patient. That stillness can hold wonder. That time, like glass, may seem invisible, but it is always shaping what lies within. And just as you drift toward sleep, a question floats to the surface of your thoughts. If glass is not truly solid, what else in this world wears a mask of stillness, hiding a secret dance? Let's follow that thought into the next chapter. You rest in the warmth of imagination, drifting beside molecules dancing on the edge of chaos. This chapter brings you face to face with plasma, the fourth state of matter, the glowing fire that lives in stars and neon signs. It pulses with energy, like thought itself, wild yet ordered, fierce yet flowing. Together we will slip inside this luminous world and find the strange calm within its storm dot. Imagine a moment when your thoughts flicker like candlelight, brief, glowing, hard to hold. That is how plasma lives. You lie back, eyes soft behind your lids, and float gently into a universe where matter takes on the qualities of flame, yet is not consumed by it. You've walked through solids, swum through liquids, and breathed through gases, but now you drift towards something more radiant, more restless. A new light beckons. Plasma is not a thing you often hold, but it surrounds you more than you realize. It hums above your head in the auroras that ribbon the polar skies. It flows through the sun's surface, spilling golden warmth into your skin. Each day, it dances in fluorescent bulbs and in the crackle of lightning, wild, glowing clouds of charged particles that blur the line between fire and form. You are entering a state that begins when atoms break apart, when the electrons, usually orbiting in elegant silence, are shaken loose by heat or energy. What remains is a soup of opposites, free electrons, and bare atomic nuclei, swirling like leaves in a storm. And yet, strangely, the storm is peaceful to watch. It's like watching thoughts chase each other, rapid, spontaneous, beautiful dot in. Your mind, you float closer to this plasma, and it feels alive. Not with life, exactly, but with motion, with purpose, with a mysterious coherence. You are watching chaos that has rhythm. In space, entire galaxies sparkle with plasma, forming glowing bridges between stars. On Earth, controlled plasma is used to cut metal or even, someday, to power cities through fusion. The same process that lights the sun. You gently imagine holding a small sun in your palm. It's warm, pulsing, never still. And just like your mind is made of movement, plasma doesn't like to rest. It writhes and weaves, as if it's thinking without thought, responding to electric and magnetic fields, almost like neurons following a path through your brain. Now breathe in slowly, and imagine plasma not as something outside you, but something that reflects you. Your thoughts, too, are like charged particles, darting and diving, never quite settling. When you dream, your neurons fire in bursts and patterns, electrical storms within a quiet skull. You carry a kind of plasma inside your own head, one shaped by biology, but pulsing just as wildly with potential. You drift through this glass of fire, this mind made luminous. And something odd settles in your chest, a recognition. The world is not made of cold certainty. It is made of tension, of balance between opposites, hot and cool, order and chaos, thought and sensation. And plasma is the perfect mirror of that truth. Unlike solids, liquids, and gases, plasma does not quietly submit to its container. It resists. It loops and twists and dances with its own patterns. In science labs, plasma is shaped using magnetic fields bent into strange and beautiful geometries. In your thoughts, too, unseen forces guide your feelings, experiences and memories acting like magnets, shaping the way your emotions flow. Now listen softly to a deeper truth. Plasma is the most common state of matter in the visible universe, not solid ground, not liquid seas, not gaseous air, but this glowing storm. Most of the cosmos is alive with it, whispering in starbursts, in nebulae, in the sun's corona. It means the universe at its core is not quiet and cool. It is lit from within. It means the world you dream of at night, made of light, fire, motion, is not a fantasy. It is the true face of things, so let your mind go further. Imagine the sound of a star, not burning like wood, but humming with energy. The sun, though silent in our sky, sings deep magnetic songs in plasma tones. What would your thoughts sound like if they too had shape and fire? Maybe they already do. Maybe your inner world is more like a sun than you think, radiant, unstill, powerful. You now float in this field of energy, and nothing feels sharp or scary. The fire here is not burning you. It's illuminating. It shows you how matter can change when pushed beyond comfort. It shows you that transformation comes from letting go of electrons, of old patterns, of fixed identities. Just as atoms become plasma by releasing their hold on certainty, so too can your mind become freer by letting thoughts move without control. You feel it now, not just in the imagination, but in your very breath. Your body, though mostly solid and fluid, hums with electricity. Tiny sparks leap across your brain, communicating everything from memory to sensation. You are not just a collection of cells, you are a tiny storm of organized energy. Not plasma, exactly, but cousin to it. Kin to the stars, breathe again. Slowly, let your breath carry you through the dance of light. Let the wildness of plasma comfort you, not confuse you. Let it remind you that the world is not rigid. That everything, even the hardest stone or the coldest night, once came from movement, from energy, from a spark. Plasma is often called the fourth state, but that is not quite right. It is the state that speaks of transformation. The state that holds the past in starlight and the future in fusion dreams. It is the reminder that matter is never still, and that you too are meant to move, to shift, to shine in ways you do not yet understand. You drift there, now held in the arms of fire that does not burn. Watching, listening, glowing, and just before you slip into rest, a final idea flickers in your mind like a slow, soft lightning bolt. If matter can glow when broken apart, what happens when it's put back together? What kind of state is that? You now drift into the origins of it all, where matter first danced, where silence turned to starlight. In the cradle of the cosmos, even strangeness finds its place. You find yourself floating through a calm, starlit space, vast, timeless, quiet. It is not cold here. It is not lonely. The stars whisper like distant lullabies, and the darkness holds you like a gentle thought. This is not just empty space. This is where it all began. Your body loosens, as if it's remembering something it never consciously knew, something deep inside the atoms of your bones. You were drifting not just through space, but through time toward the very beginning of matter itself. Long before your heartbeat, long before the earth, even before the first star winked awake, there was only energy, humming with potential in the earliest moments after the birth of the universe. Everything you know, light, particles, space, even time, was wrapped together in an unimaginably dense cradle. Scientists call it the Big Bang, but the term is misleading. There was no bang, no sound, no explosion. Just an expansion, quiet, steady, inevitable. Like the slow exhale of a breath that had been held forever. From this breath, energy cooled, and out of that cooling came matter. Not in the forms we recognize, not rocks or rain or cells, but in tiny, trembling particles, quarks and gluons. The earliest building blocks of existence swam in a superheated sea known as the quark-gluon plasma. It was a fluid so strange, so perfect, that it behaved like liquid light. You imagine this moment, not with your eyes, but with the part of you that dreams. This ancient plasma glows gold in your mind. It ripples and folds, thick with motion. There are no atoms yet, just pure becoming. Temperature drops, and those quarks huddle close. They begin forming protons and neutrons, the stable nuclei of atoms. Everything that will ever exist begins its first sentence here, one atom, one union, one gentle step at a time. Time passes differently now. Stars haven't formed yet, but the laws of physics begin to organize the chaos. Gravity whispers structure into the soup. The electromagnetic force learns to bind. The strong force holds tightly to what it gathers, and the weak force dances lightly in radioactive steps. These forces are not separate from you. They are the invisible scaffolding of your body, your breath, your thoughts dot in the stream of creation. Clouds of hydrogen, the simplest of all atoms, begin to pool together in cosmic nurseries. They spin and collapse, warmed by their own gravity, until one by one, they ignite. The first stars are born. There is no fanfare, but you can feel the awe. The silence of space is broken not by sound, but by light, new, piercing, steady. The stars begin their long work of alchemy, fusing hydrogen into helium, helium into carbon, oxygen, iron, the future ingredients of life. These stars will one day collapse, some gently, others in brilliant explosions. In their deaths, they scatter the heavier elements like seeds, gold, calcium, nitrogen, into the universe. You carry these inside you now. The iron in your blood, the calcium. In your bones, the oxygen in your breath, all of it formed in ancient stars. You are made of stardust. But more than that, you are made of a story. A story that began in a quiet cradle of energy and ended, for now, here, lying still, listening. Wondering dot, you float now through the afterglow of that birth. The cosmic microwave background hums softly around you. It is the faint warmth left. Over from the universe's infancy, stretched thin by time, but still present. Scientists can still measure it, a whisper 13.8 billion years old. It's like touching a fossil made of light, and yet, for all that we know, mystery surrounds you still. The universe is not just made of the matter we see. Most of it, over 95%, is dark. Dark matter, which does not shine, but bends gravity like glass bends light. And dark energy, stranger still, which seems to push the universe apart with silent pressure. We don't know what they are, but they are real. And they hold space together. You let this mystery rock you, not with fear, but with curiosity. How comforting it is to know that even the universe is unfinished. That questions are not gaps, but gateways. That wonder is a form of gravity. It keeps you here, grounded and lifted at once. Now you come to rest, weightless in thought. The strange states of matter you've journeyed through, plasmas, condensates, exotic lattice, and foams, they're not just curiosities. They're clues. Clues that the universe is more fluid, more poetic, more layered than it often appears. What then is solid? What truly is permanent? You touch a thought. Perhaps nothing is. Perhaps matter itself is a rhythm, a slow unfolding. An ancient song sung in different keys. A ripple of probability. A dance of fields. A story still being written, even now. As you breathe, you feel it again. The comfort of not needing to know everything. The freedom of resting in wonder. Outside, galaxies continue their slow spin. Inside, your neurons echo the same quiet patterns. Currents and charges, fields and flows. The universe is not out there. It is in you as you are in it. You close your eyes. Or maybe you already have. Your body quiets, your breath softens, and the last thought drifts in like the final line of a lullaby. If matter can dream itself into so many forms, what new shapes might your own thoughts take when you sleep deeply enough to forget you are made of anything at all? Let the questions stay unanswered. Let it cradle you now. Let it become the doorway into rest. Sleep. Sleep.